If you look at Instagram, everything is picture perfect. Everything is glossy and then beautiful and nice and then filtered. And for me, so certainly I'm still in my journey to being a total human being level. So I'm curious to know from your point of view, was there a journey to go from let me be just to show the glossy side to now being more and more human? And if so, what are some of the steps that you took as a way to share more of yourself holistically rather than just the professional side, the speaker side, the guru side, and so
Yeah.
forth?
I think it takes hitting rock bottom to get to the realization that I don't need people to think that I'm whoever I need to be. Like I early on, I was obviously I was, hey, this is me. I got it all figured out, blah blah blah. But I didn't have it all figured out, and nobody really does. Nobody really does. Like even I don't know what billionaire I was talking to. So the one moment, very specific one, that made me realize that hey, I'm going to share who I am. I'm gonna just say how I feel, and I'm gonna be me. And that was when I was going through the journey, and when my wife and I went through the journey for our show Success in Your City. The whole concept was, hey, we want to figure out what the true meaning of success was from other people around the country, and do it before we got married. And so we
Mm,
learned from people. And our first story we featured was Shea Hillenbrand, a guy that had made $20 million playing baseball. He was a two-time All-Star, played for the Red Sox, he played for Dodgers, all these different teams. He left the game to, one, he wanted to spend more time with family, and two, he wanted to fulfill his childhood dream of going and having a zoo. So he left baseball, he spent time with his family, he bought this ranch, he spent a lot of money and created the zoo. And within 3 years, he lost it all. He was living out his van. His wife left him, and he was suicidal. He took a bunch of pills and was hoping that he would die. And he woke up in this van, and he believed he found God. He saw God. He said, "I felt okay. I should have been dead." And before that happened, he's like sitting here. All these people envy me, think I'm a god, think I'm this known baseball player, whatever else. But deep down inside, I feel like a piece of shit, and I want to die. So that perspective, hearing something like that, the people with the accolades or the Emmys or the awards, all that, that doesn't mean they're necessarily like happy. And so hearing a perspective from somebody that had reached such a high level and hit rock bottom and now doing his own thing, that really, I had a lot of respect for that, and it changed how I looked at my own identity. But then I experienced it a month later, because after doing that first episode, Samantha and I went to Texas, and in the process of doing all this, producing a TV show and everything else, I had things going wrong in my business. I had one business that I had a business partner we had to buy out. I had a big speaker event in LA 2 months prior that the fires happened that week. So our attendance was a fourth of what it was supposed to be. We were planning a lot of income for that, and it crushed us. And so I was in a very bad financial situation at that time. And so I was in such a bad situation that my one bank account had negative thousands of dollars into it. And my wife today, we were in the same hotel room, and she was going through depression. She was not very happy. I was feeling like, what am I going to do? And it forced us to believe. It forced us to believe in a higher power, because at that time I didn't really know if God existed or whatever else. And so we went to church, and I felt at peace. And so when hitting that lowest moment of obstacles in business, no money, a significant other were in a huge argument, and she's not happy, and I felt like a loser, that pushed me to look at life differently. Ultimately, like a week or so after that rock bottom, I had did a deal that made me a lot of money, and I was all back in the game again. But when you experience something like that and you hear these stories of other people, there's other ones of a guy we featured that was homeless at one time, all these rich, significant, interesting people. It gives you a different perspective on life. And so now my perspective is, I'm going to tell you straight as it is. I know my success isn't necessarily just based on the bank account. It's based on my happiness, not what other people think of me.